Hi there guys, welcome back to Rancor Reptiles. My name is Hector, and this is a video talking about the different price points or entry points you can get into ball pythons. Now if you want to hear more about this video, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below whether you liked the video, and if you didn't, leave a dislike, comment down below why you didn't like the video, all that good stuff. If you have different opinions, meet me down there. So this is a very finicky video because low tier, mid tier, high tier, that's kind of very subjective, okay? Because people have different price points. Some people have a little more excess income than others, so they might think $1,000 snake is kind of affordable, and other people will look at $1,000 snake and gasp at the price, right? So this is very subjective to me, right? This video I'm going to be talking about what I believe is middle, high, and low, and what's a good approach into getting into these different price points when you're trying to build up a collection, a breeder collection that you kind of hope will take off in the long run and kind of feed for itself and give you some return on investment that you can use to reinvest into maybe more ball pythons. Now, let's talk about the more accessible snakes. They are the people snakes, right? I believe that a low end, more accessible, that's I think $1,000 down. Why is it $1,000 down? It's because, quite frankly, that's just the general area people are when they're buying snakes, okay? I've seen family members buy their first snake for $600, $700, and that's a family pet, right? They're looking for some gene stacked animals that look fantastic. They're not so much looking at the genetics of it, they're just looking more at the appearance of it. And oftentimes, those heavily stacked animals tend to look pretty darn cool. Now, if you're a breeder trying to enter and build their collection based on that price point, well, it's going to be fairly cheap for you to start up, right? You only need couple $1,000 and you're able to buy yourself quite a few females. Start off your collection. That's fine. The only downside to that is you're gonna have to spend more time to build up, right? You can buy yourself het clowns. You can buy yourself double hets. However, it's gonna take time for you to grow those animals up and take chances with every single breeding if you're buying hets to try to hit something visual. Of course, there's people that buy the double hets, they roll the dice, and they hit the jackpot, and they get a double recessive right off the bat, and they only invested so much money. I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm saying that's absolutely possible. However, you're running the risk of not hitting anything several times in a row and just keep missing the odds, you know? That's just the risk. Now, let's say you buy high-end stuff, $10,000 animals, $15,000, just expensive animals that you're going to have to put a mortgage on your house to buy, okay? Those animals, they're very expensive, so they have the distinct advantage of if you breed them and they're successful, those type of snakes will give you back your money. They're quick to kick back your investment. They're very quick at that. However, understand, if you're spending $10,000, you're not putting this into an IRA, you're not putting this into a bonds, you're buying a snake, a living creature. So if this living creature dies, so does your investment, right? I've seen some people, like Blue Line Morphs, he bought a stranger leopard clown, a beautiful looking snake, $10,000. And the thing didn't eat, it didn't breed. I think he missed out a season because the snake just didn't want to go. And, that sucks. That's a loss for him. If that snake were to die on him, then it'd go down. It would suck. He even talked about it himself. If the snake were to go kaputs, then they'd be short. That's just how it is, and that's the risk of buying high end. And then there's also the banana crash. If you've been around the ball python community long enough, you know about bananas and how ridiculously expensive they were. It kind of mirrored the price back then when ball python morphs were first hitting the scene, like with pinstripe and pieds and all that stuff. They were very expensive. Banana was just as expensive. It looked albino, but it was a codon. And because it was a codom, it got bred to everything. Tons of banana ball pythons flooded the market, and it went from a $20,000 snake when it was first introduced into a very accessible, sub $300 snake. Okay, so keep that in mind. That can happen. If you do not know how ball python genetics work, I would highly encourage you to educate yourself first before diving into the deep end. You got to know how to swim if you want to go into the ocean, right? Now there's the synergy point, the mid point. This is where you're able to really get a little bit of both, okay? So I highly encourage anyone to, start at the midpoint. Let's say you have big plans for your clowns. You want to get into the clown project. Well, you can start and buy some beautiful looking clowns for around $1,000, right? You can buy several cheaper midpoint snakes. Buy a couple of cheaper female clowns that have diversity in genetics, and then you grow those up for 2 years. You save your money for 2 years, and then you buy that banger high-end male, right? And then you can get that really high-end male to those females you were growing up, and now you have some really nice expensive genetics flowing in your collection, and is hitting that middle point. That can be done in a variety of different ways, right? You can work with double hets or visual hets, bunch of different, there's a lot more maneuverability. I believe starting off at the midpoint would be best. I'm not saying the approach of buying tons of cheap female ball pythons or only buying a couple of really high-end snakes. I don't think either of those approaches were suitable for me. Might be for you, however, not for me. I would rather occasionally buy a female that was a little, mid-range with nice genetics, and buy, a female here and there. Not buying all of them at bulk and not buying just a few. Having a nice collection of females as time went along. I was able to buy a couple females with nice genetics, and at the end I'm planning to buy a higher end male. And it's worked out fine for me, A lot of my snakes, they were about $1,000 each. I went out, bought myself what I thought was a higher end male that passed out Batman, Sprinkles, my main man, and now I'm producing some really kick-ass looking snakes. And it's, going to pay off dividends now. So I think that middle point is the best point to go. Because if you go too cheap or too accessible, you won't be able to make enough profit to feed your collection, and you're running your hobby at a loss. That would suck, but some people do it. However, it's also not to the ridiculous degree where you have to have $10,000 in your pocket, right? Buy where you feel comfortable, and understand that if you are planning to get your money back, that this is an investment that's going to take several years for you to even get $1 back, okay? So if you need money tomorrow to pay your rent, I would highly discourage you from getting into breeding ball pythons, simply because the money just really isn't there. You can breed really expensive animals and make a living off of this. However, that takes time and that takes building. You need to have a strong platform and trust to sell those really expensive animals right off the bat, right? So the middle is the perfect synergy point. Now, regardless, you can choose wherever point you want to enter at. And like I said, this is all highly subjective. You go where you think fits right. Just make sure that, like I said in my previous video, you get into a project you truly love. Because at the end of the day, these guys are pets. We need to enjoy their presence and they need to enjoy ours. Right? So that's the video. Hope you liked it. Leave a like, subscribe, or dislike if you didn't like it. But let me know why. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for stopping by.